Janashalakya Chakshuran Milita Tasmai Sri Gurave Namah. I was born in the darkest ignorance. My spiritual master opened my eyes with the torch of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisance unto him. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Yeah, so 12:8. 12, chapter 12 is referred to as the chapter that addresses devotional service. And I take it will we share the screen? There we go. We're working at it. Okay. Mayeva mana abhatsva mayi buddhing nivishaya nivishishasi mayeva ata urvang na samshaya. Just fix your mind upon me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and engage all your intelligence in me. Thus you will live in me always, without fail. Perhaps we could just take that verse and I could break it up and just you could repeat it after me. That way it'll cement more in our minds. Just fix your mind upon me. Please repeat.
Just fix your mind upon me.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead.
The Supreme
Personality of Godhead.
And engage all your in me.
And engage all your intelligence in me.
Thus you will live in me always.
Thus you will live in me always.
Without a doubt.
Without
a doubt.
Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. One who is engaged in Lord Krishna's devotional service lives in a direct relationship with the Supreme Lord. So there is no doubt that his position is transcendental from the very beginning. A devotee does not live on the material plane. He lives in Krishna. The holy name of the Lord and the Lord are non-different. Therefore, when a devotee chants Hare Krishna, Krishna and his internal potency are dancing on the tongue of the devotee. When he offers Krishna food, Krishna directly accepts these eatables, and the devotee becomes Krishnaized by eating the remnants. One who does not engage in such service cannot understand how this is so, although this is a process recommended in the Bhagavad Gita and in other Vedic literatures. Thank you very much. Good, so we'll talk about this verse and the purport. This particular chapter is one of the shorter chapters, but it's no less significant or important because it's dealing with the topmost subject, devotional service or bhakti yoga. Therefore, we held it in high esteem. So what is it saying? Fix your mind on me. That is a word, or let's say a phrase that's echoed throughout the Bhagavad Gita. Manmana bhava madbhakto. That's another verse. It says, put your mind on me. And that same verse is repeated twice, chapter 9 and 18. In the middle and at the end of the Gita, think of Krishna. Now, what does it mean to think of Krishna? It means to think of the person Krishna. Someone had come along and suggested that the meaning of this verse, and this is a commentator, saying that it's not unto Krishna that you have to think, but it's to that which is within Krishna. Okay, so this could be quite confusing, and there's no need to create such confusion. If I was to say, Kadamba Kanana Prabhu, could you please just look at me for a minute or a second? And then if you interpret it as, well, I shouldn't look at Bhaktimarga Swami, I should look at that which is within Bhaktimarga Swami. Okay, it can be very confusing. So I'm saying, look at me, that means look at my form, and it's also perhaps understood that You could try to see my heart and see my soul. Good luck on that one. But let us take it very literally, as it is said here. Have your mind on me. That means the personality of Godhead. And let's not divert, let's not deviate, let's not do what is suggested by many commentators. And the reason why these various commentators fail in expressing the truth about the Lord and about Bhakti Yoga in general is because they kind of sidetrack us. And for what reason? Ill-motivated, I'd say. They themselves may be confused. They're trying to make something more mystical than needs to be. Of course, Krishna is already mystical. And why do we have to say beyond Krishna or look at that which is within Krishna? The Krishna that we are to understand, his physique, his countenance, his beauty, his strength, all that you see with your eyes and all that you hear with your ears from him should give us enough of a picture, paint enough of a picture of who Krishna really is. And it was declared by Arjuna and other great pundits, this is in chapter 10, that many, many people have said of him, people like Narada, Devala, who's a rishi, Asita, Vyasadeva. These are categorically mentioned by Arjuna. He said, these people say you are God, you're divine. And I now myself am realizing that this is this situation about yourself. So thinking of Krishna means his form, and his form is divine. Janma karma chame divyam. Krishna's birth, Krishna's karma, his activities, they are divine. Everything about the Lord, his body is divine. So we don't need to get confused. We just need to go for the straight and narrow beeline ourselves towards the personality of Godhead. And we don't need any other kind of distracting messages. The next line says, engage all your intelligence in me. Now, engage is a word that's kind of old English, and I guess we do use it from time to time. Certainly when I grew up near Windsor, we didn't talk about engaging. Engagement when two people, a guy had a ring for his girlfriend, and he's proposing, okay, we're engaged to be married, okay? And so it meant a lot. It meant something about commitment. But here engage refers to keep yourself busy, keep your intelligence active in the personality of Godhead. Engage the buddhi, the intelligence. And in everything that we do, with not only our mind, our intelligence, but our body as well. Keep busy, and then you will produce something very nice. Okay, bees are busy, honeybees. They're always busy buzzing around, you know, and especially what they call the workers. I think there's the workers, the drones. It's been a while since I studied this before I was engaged in this kind of study. But they're very busy and they produce honey for the queen bee and whoever else wants to come. You know, the stray black bear that comes around, if he smells honey somewhere, he's going to go for it. Oh, he's going to go for it. Yes. And with our intelligence, what does it mean to engage or keep busy with our intelligence? Well, studying this dialogue is one way to do that. In chapter 18, 6 chapters to come, Sanjay says, he's repeating Krishna. He is saying that one who engages in this dialogue worships me with his intelligence. So it's a kind of puja, worships me with this intelligence. In fact, that's the way Prabhupada translates it. Does worship mean that you just take some agarbatti, or you take some water, you take a flower, or a chamara, or a peacock fan, or like a diya? That's what we usually mean by worship. But worship has to be taken in a broader way. For instance, if you study the Gita very regularly, this is considered a kind of puja or a kind of worship. So with the recent mishaps that occurred in Bangladesh yesterday or 2 days ago, Hindu temples were attacked. Our ISKCON temple was attacked by some zealots, and they have a great opposition to what people of an indigenous background in India have been doing for centuries and centuries. They're especially opposed to idol worship, right? So first of all, I think we should be careful when we're trying to defend ourselves against people. First of all, these are not idols. Idol's kind of a dirty word. We should say murti or image, sacred image. So there's an objection by some Talibanist type people that this is very evil and it's not wanted, you know. But we can actually counter argue and say that you have the Kaaba, you have a stone, an inanimate object that you worship simply by circumambulation, by circling around in Mecca, you know, or people who are not in Mecca, but they're stuck in Windsor, Ontario, Canada. They can look in the direction of Mecca and they can worship in some way simply by thought. So that's one thing. Our Christian friends also have an objection to worship of idols. Okay, they're not idols. These are manifestations of God. They are reflections of God. And we call them murtis in our tradition. It's not an idol. I thought it was very interesting that most Bollywood stars have a Muslim background and they are very much worshipped. So, you know, that's one thing. Our Christian friends, they are also opposed to this. They're also known as iconoclasts, means they have a strong objection to worshiping of images and forms. But you look in the Catholic tradition, especially, there's all kinds of statues there that you pray to. And some people argue they use polemics, some kind of word jugglery to say, we don't worship, we just pray to them. Well, it is a kind of adoration, you know. Let's not get stuck in word. You do use images. They're in your temples. The crucifix is your guru hanging on the cross, and you are worshiping that. You are reflecting on it all the time and for what it represents. Okay, we can say he died for our sins. He took karma. Okay. Now, if you say that it's karma, then no, it's not karma. So don't, maybe not to use that word. But, you know, definitely in their tradition, that is the case. That there is a representation of God or his saints in the form of these deities. So I was raised as a Catholic, so I know I looked at the image of Jesus, I look at the image of Mary, Joseph, Francis, whatever was your patron saint. And these are clearly inanimate objects. And they are being adored, worshipped, reflected on, contemplated on, etc., etc. So, you know, when it comes to this subject of honoring a deity of Krishna, it is actually, you know, bona fide. It is something that is authorized by the Shastras, by the scriptures. Some great saints like Prithu and others, anybody we read about in Vedic traditions, they all had some murti that they worship. So that's important. Now, Krishna is speaking directly. He's not a murti, although we take his body to be sacred. And he's functioning as a teacher of the science of the self. Of all sciences, Krishna says in chapter 10, which is entitled as Opulence of the Absolute Truth. The Lord says, of all sciences, I'm the science of the self. So to learn about you, in conjunction with learning about Krishna, establishes what we call bhakti, devotion, love, real love which is very reciprocal, and love which is where you're giving even in times of difficulty. Now, a lot of people use the word love in the cinema, and it actually is perhaps a misuse of the word. Maybe it would be better if people say, I lust you. I lust you. I look at your beautiful eyes and you're killing me. So lust, and there's a difference between lust and love is not conditional. In the case of lust, as long as I'm satisfied physically, then I will love you or lust you. But if that ends somewhere because you're getting old and you don't look good anymore and things are not firm physically, then I will no longer need to, I just don't, they say, I don't love you anymore. Okay, great, fine. And usually you find out such persons who go for the whole 9 yards. They say after separation, after divorce, you find that they have gone just after someone else, you know? So it's not that love or lust is eliminated now. It's not that suddenly they become a sannyasi, you know, overnight. No, it's not like that. It's just that they cannot control their craving. So real bhakti, which is expressed as the highest form of yoga, is what we're seeking after. Real love is Shraddhavan bhajate yoman samyuktatamo mataha. In chapter 6, Krishna talks about the different kinds of yoga. And he says of all the various forms of yoga, the type which is Shraddhavan bhajate yoman, which is, let's say, placing all your, adoration and complete love in faith in the Lord. That is the topmost. It's better than jnana yoga, where you're trying to be philosophical. It's better than karma yoga, where you try to sort of mechanically do things for God because everyone else is doing it and my parents and grandparents are telling me to do it. So, okay, let's go with the flow. It is, or Ashtanga yoga, where you learn to do lots of, physical things that may be helpful, such as pranayama, breathing exercises, and sitting in certain postures, asanas, and so on like that. But Krishna is okay with all those things, but ultimately he likes love. Everybody wants to be loved, everybody. So let's go back when we were teenagers, okay? When we were all teenagers, maybe there's some teenagers. Do you want to go back to that? We were young, we were strong, we were physically attractive, we were impressive, and we are trying to impress, and in so many different ways. And we put our best effort forward to gain attention. And and it's because we want to be loved. We're in an awkward period where we don't want to just hold on to dad's belt or mom's apron strings. I don't know, do ladies still use aprons? Maybe, I don't know. But it is, you have to cut yourself loose. you feel you need to make some statements. That's why I've seen some of our boys and girls, they'll do interesting things like, I'm making a statement that I can do what I want to do. So I'll pierce my ears, or, or I'll put a razor blade here, or do something, or I'll get a tattoo, even though my parents don't want it. And we'll do all kinds of things. I'll put my hair green on one side, pink on the other side, little things like that. Or, wear clothes that are slightly a little more revealing than needs to be. So we do all kinds of things because we're desperate to feel loved. Of course, it's on a physical level, and there is pressure by the friends, by the peers, to do those things, And if you don't toe the party line, then people they'll reject you. So there's a desperate, let's say, need or feeling to be wanted and to be loved. But now we must understand what love is. It's got to go beyond physical. It's got to be with souls connecting, atmas connecting, with each other, and also with the Supreme Atma, Paramatma. That's what the Bhakti Yoga tradition is really all about. We're going to be actually looking at, in the next chapter about the nature of the Paramatma. And there's other places in the Gita where we talk about the Paramatma, the great Atma, the superior one, and the one that cares for us. So this is what it means to let's say, walk on the tightrope of Krishna consciousness. You have to be really direct, straight, and don't deviate. And then you will achieve Krishna. You will always be with him, without a doubt. Doubt is important. Samshaya. Sometimes Arjuna addresses Krishna as having a name. You're Madhusudan, you killed the Madhu demon. And he uses that word because he's saying, I have a demon, and that's a demon of doubt in me. So therefore he uses that nomenclature. Kill the doubt. I want to be freed from doubt. Doubt is not a bad thing. It's a sign of intelligence. You question. Is this for real? Is Krishna for real? Is Krishna blue? Was Krishna here? Is he still here? Is he just a fictitious character written by, a great scholar? And so on and so forth. It's just kind of just continues on these questions that we may have. And it just means that we're alive and we're well. But we should go to seek answers, and we should inquire from Guru, from Krishna, and get things, go for clarity. Yeah, go for clarity. And some people, they may ask, how do you go for clarity? First of all, honor time. So I am guilty. I was 2-3 minutes late. And I believe in being on time, and I thought I was on time. So I believe that if you're on time for the things that are important in life, Krishna will somehow or other, help you in your management abilities. Clarity will come, because right now things are basically foggy, hazy in our minds, because we have been polluted by sense gratification. We've been indulging in physical stimulations. Now, some of those stimulations are allowed, but we should not be excess in doing those things. We live in a culture around us where, everything is very excessive. We don't need most of the things, and we are just teased by the advertising firms that you need this, you need that, this, that, this, that. And if you don't go do these things, you won't be happy. So this is where the truth lies in what this verse is all about. Fix your mind on Krishna and go for the straight and narrow. Try not to diverge. Try not to get too implicated in what we call karma kandiya activities, which could be a little bit of a distraction. And no doubt everybody knows what distractions are. Just go for the straight and narrow. That is what is called for in exercising or executing Krishna consciousness. Now, just something that we should highlight that is here in the purport of the Gita. Thank you. And that is Krishna's form, Krishna's name, Krishna's lila, Krishna's like prasadam. It's all Krishna. When we take prasadam, we're actually eating God. Okay, that sounds kind of strange. Maybe I should paraphrase it a little bit. We're actually consuming the divine. We're absorbing it, in essentials. Nowadays, people have used the word essential so many times. You can only go for essentials. Anything that's like people have had to, because of COVID, have had to exercise austerities, which is not a bad thing. It really isn't. Yeah, but it's austere, not to socialize. That's where people have a lot of objections, right? We like to socialize. Thank God for our Zooming powers here that we can socialize, but I can't wait for the day when I can see you physically. When I go west on the 401, and I come to the end of the road in a place called Windsor, Ontario, and we can meet somewhere and we can have a real good time, serving each other in Krishna consciousness. That's also a key thing. How can we be convinced that Krishna is real, a reality, as distinguished from the material existence, from the three modes of material nature? Well, you have to be in the company of devotees. You have to be in the company of like-minded people. And then you have that reinforcement. You have that strength that's going to carry you through into his sphere, his domain, his world. Krishna does have a world. And another thing about Krishna, when we talk about Krishna, it also implies his world, his place of Leela, lovely Leela. Just 1 second. Oh yeah, sure. Yeah. His devotees, his place of residence, it's all holy, it's all Brahman, it's all spiritual, and the way for us to get to this place is that we just have to execute devotional service and turn our environment around and make it spiritual, right? So with the recent attacks on ISKCON temples and Hindu temples, it's, how can that, these are spiritual places. How can, let's say, these adversaries come in and try to impose their form of spiritualism? I guess that's what they're trying to do. What you're doing is not good enough. And so we have to insist on you doing things our way. The great teacher, Madhvacharya, whose birthday we celebrated yesterday, was quite a champion in the sense that he helped to put things straight. Before his time, he was born in 1293 AD, a long time ago. And what was somewhat prevalent was Buddhist influenced philosophies, Buddhist. And so he had come to, try to eliminate that notion that everything is one. One, yes, but also some distinctions have to be there. So he was a big proponent for letting people know Vishnu is the topmost deity. Vishnu is topmost. And we're going to put in brackets Krishna. And of all the deities, that we have 33 million or so deities, Vishnu is topmost. So he helped to establish that. He also helped to establish that there's a difference between the Brahman reality and the individual reality. Like we're jiva souls, spiritual beings. But there is a supreme being, and that is Vishnu or Krishna. And so he was very scholarly. He was a very strong person in many ways, physically, mentally, intellectually. He was a powerful individual, and he influenced people in such a bright way. So he is in our Hall of Fame, in our line of disciplic succession, which starts from Brahma. And we do more than applaud him for his great work. And anybody who's gone to South India, of course, some of you are from there. You know, in Udupi, there's a great level of worship of Madhvacharya. Worship, oh my God, well, that's a bad word. But I think that worship is really another way of saying praise, revere, and so on like that. And so we will continue on in our culture to revere, worship, whatever, great personalities that represent God. We will do that also, revere God himself in the form of his wisdom, his books. I will continue to revere and respect him through prasadam and also through his lovely leelas and many other different shapes and forms Krishna comes in. You know, some people that don't want to deal with the deity say, I love nature. Okay, great. Love nature. Whose nature? Belongs to someone. It got there by some. You're believing in the energy. You're believing in the force. But it's more important to, or let's say it's equally important, if not more important, to reflect on the energetic or the source of the force. You know, let's not forget that. You know, so it's good to ponder nature. Nature is nice sometimes. Sometimes nature kills us. Let's not forget that. Nature is beautiful. Nature is ugly. You know, because of that, that it is the side of Krishna that has this built into it a temporariness. It's not permanent. The physical energy which emanates from the Lord. Aham sarvasya prabhavo matas sarvam prabhavartate. From chapter 10 of the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says, everything is emanating from me. All that is matter, all that is spirit, that comes from me. So when we're looking at matter, material things, just behind me, there's an aloe vera plant. Okay. It's beautiful. It really is. Kind of like a cactus plant, I guess you could say. It doesn't grow too easy. Maybe in Windsor because you were there in the tropics compared to Toronto. But it's it's beautiful. So you have to appreciate that this plant and the scenery behind it, the outdoors, it's all really a reflection of supreme personality of Godhead. And so it's all good. Sarvakalab idam Brahman. Spirit is everywhere, but we usually just see the physical side. So I hope I tried my best to deliver to you the substance of this verse. And one more thing is to be said about chanting. Chanting is important. It is Krishna dancing on our tongue. And when we say Hare or Hara, it refers to the mother side of Krishna. It is Radha and Krishna that is being adored. And they are doing a wonderful dance on the tip of our tongue when we're chanting Krishna's name. We are inviting him onto our tongue and into our hearts. And this is what we're trying to do in capturing this particular shloka from the Bhagavad Gita. So I want to thank you very much. We want to leave some period for your questions. Does anybody have anything they would like to please offer? Yes, and just 1 second, okay? Tina, I'm looking for questions. You mind seeing if he's, he might be in the yoga room downstairs. The room downstairs. which is the seminar room next to the Prashadam area. Really need to talk to them. Yeah. Okay. Okay, great. Yeah. I need to see him right at noon sharp. Okay, great. So let's go for some questions.
Swamiji, you had a nice reference to people who dislike others' way of praying, others' way of believing. And I have a tough time dealing. I have a tough time understanding why these people have that attitude. And how do you recommend to us how we handle them? Thank you.
Oh God, Hare Krishna. You're talking about hundreds and hundreds of years of problems in communication with each other. Well, I mean, you know, I've thought a lot about it, and I personally believe that, you know, like I know for about, we have a lot of our books in the Arabic languages and for Muslim languages. There's been a lot of good translation. And I understand in Windsor there's a lot of Muslims, isn't it? Right. I have come to understand that people respond quite well to our books, like the elderly, and even sometimes some students that are here on a visa, to get their schooling and education. So I found that out, and I just feel that the best way to get people to change their attitudes, which is oftentimes one of contempt and hate, and inability to tolerate or to accept, is that if we can get to their hearts, through the books, Prabhupada's books, I think that could help us a lot. So, as a community, you might consider that type of thing, how to get Bhagavatams into people's homes, or just smaller books. And Mike, closer to the...
Better now. Can you hear me better now?
Yes, Maharaj, very good now. Thank you.
I'm going to put my Mickey Mouse ears down. So I believe that's one. Now, we do have to show tolerance. So that's one thing. We don't necessarily need to go down to the level of people who are greedy. Like, say, for instance, the Kauravas. Arjuna, was hearing what Krishna saying. Let's go out and let's tackle them. Now it's time for us to deal with our matter of reconciliation through the physical war. And Arjuna was thinking, no, but we can't come down to their level. We can't. They're greedy. We know that, but we're not. We're clean. But the thing is, sometimes that attitude is good for Brahminical people, but Kshatriya types, you're not going to hold them back. So I think we have to make a clear to our police force, if that be the case, and let them know we're very concerned, our community, that this kind of thing doesn't happen in Canada, but happened in Bangladesh. And so those are some points I think we can consider. We cannot tolerate injustice. And David Frawley, he wrote a book called Arise, Arjuna, and he's a professor, a great Vedic teacher, Professor David Frawley. But Arise, Arjuna. Arjuna means all of us, wake up, don't be pushed around. We don't need to be bullied, If they are being bullied, then we can also take up a stance. Maybe not us gentle souls who are here on this call, but definitely we have to have some. It doesn't come to that. Okay, thank you. Okay, come on. Yeah, I just hope it doesn't come to that. And I think we need to use, when there's misunderstanding, we try to use reason. Like we were talking about how some people think we're evil because we worship idols. And so we're just saying, well, don't you have an idol? What are you doing with that stone there? I mean, you want to, speak eloquently. And what are you doing with that stone in Mecca? So I think if somebody one-on-one, you might be able to, speak to somebody reasonably. I have a Muslim friend, his name is Victor, and I can speak very reasonably with him. Like the last time I chatted with him and said, well, there's like millions of people that were killed in India by your folks, and he was able to absorb it. Some people say it's like 60 to 80 million people of the indigenous people killed by your folks, your believers. And he didn't deny that. But I think we have to be really careful how we word things, and if we take it too strong a stance against that group of people, or whatever's left in Bangladesh, 14 million people or so that follow the Vedic or Hindu way, they can be put under incredible duress. So I think we sometimes, it's really a big topic. I can give you an answer. I think we have to strategize. I think it is important. Maybe it's good as a group, be ready, And I know that Anutama Prabhu, our ISKCON communications person, he will most likely be making a statement. We have him, and then there's another devotee in Delhi, Yudhishthira Govinda. I think that's his name. Yeah. They did I get it right, Kadamba? Yeah. So
Yes, Maharaj.
we need to look at some of our leaders who are good communicators to know what we should do, and I hate to be in the middle of, this tension where so many people like that live, where they have no tolerance. In ISKCON, in Bangladesh in particular, we've been doing years and years of prashadam distribution, years and years of it. So then to have these, I guess, some fanatical young guys coming around and creating a riot is very inappropriate. Bite the hand that feeds you. It's sad. Ashok, I hope this will help out a little bit. Maybe we can look to, as a starter, to see what Anutama has to say. And I think it's also a real important thing to tell our children or our grandchildren a little bit about the history of India, what it's gone through. Give them a one-on-one project about what's happened and when the British period. There, Hindus were under incredible oppression, and before that, hundreds of years. I think it's good to be enlightened in the history of the culture. And we know that here there's a strong sentiment about how we dealt with our indigenous people, like people of the European background. Most people who settled here in the greater numbers, they were oppressed in Europe by a kind of a caste system there. And they came here and they oppressed. It doesn't stop. And so there was an attempt made to make everything nice, like in America. All men are created equal, except for blacks and Native people. Right? Their definition of men is, people of a certain skin color, and you come from a certain. Even Irish people were not respected by the British. Irish were just down, low class. Scotsmen too. So always this discretion. I think we do need to strongly speak the truth about we're not these bodies. You might. Okay, I am going to bow out a little early. We have a lot of things on our plate today. So I want to thank you very much and for the question, Ashok. And we're going to get together again on Kadamba Kanana, where you'll let me know which is the next date we're going to go for. We'll talk about it. All right. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Maharaj. Very grateful for the talk and the answers.
We are grateful to be with you, and I mean it. We've got to come down and see you sometime.
Thank you, Maharaj. We are waiting for it. Hare Krishna. Krishna, thank you all so much, devotees. So happy to see you all and be with all of you. We'll again come back, resume our regular reading as well. So once again, thank you all. Hare Krishna. Happy Ekadashi.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you.